All right. So, again, this is Black History Month. And so, what we wanted to talk about a lot about was Black communities and how are we kind of going to navigate the way things are going now. So, of course, we know our history, we know where we come from. That's always been done throughout Black History Month, giving us some understanding of where we come from, what we had to endure, and how we even flourished and survived through those times. So now we're in a similar situation. It's different. It's 2025, so things are a little different. But at the same time, we're going through some of the similar things that we had to go through back then. And so it's like a big question about whether or not we are going to try to unify our Black communities way better than where they were before, because before they were a lot more inclusive, a lot more community based, and really trying to help out each other. Where a lot of times now we look a lot of selfishness, we look at a lot of like what somebody did for me and not necessarily what they did as a whole for our Black people. So I'm wondering if it's productive to even like try to like unify us together so that we can actually progress and heal in the right direction, or do you just focus kind of on what you have on your plate, your family, making sure they're healing, making sure they're growing, instead of really focus on the bigger picture?
Well, no, I think it's always, of course, it's always family first. You want to invest in your home first, right? And then, but I think from there, because that's where it starts, right? That's where we lead by example. How we, how we're doing things with our children and with our loved ones, significant others. But I think the biggest thing to do, if we're talking about community growth, then we really have to speak to empowering people emotionally and financially. So we would have to, and so when we say building relationships, meaning I'm not just figuring out the skill sets you have, right? But I'm also figuring out more or less a talent you may have that you may not tapped into, right? And so a lot of times, what I've learned from just watching the landscape, we can use our current president. I know he's not a fan favorite of most people that look like us, right? But I know before Elon Musk existed, his first term, but they didn't connect. So when I say building relationships, it means, and guess how they built the relationship? They spoke to each other's pockets, emotionally, financially. A lot of our mentality is wrapped up into our performance. Should it be that way? No. We should naturally just find value in who we are and loving ourselves based on us just being, what I'm saying, human beings, right? But the reality of the world we live in, a lot of times the mental and the money is tied together. People who usually have a tendency of making money well have a very high self-esteem. Doesn't mean that they don't have internal voids, but they feel good about what they're able to do, right? Doesn't mean they don't have challenges or problems. So if we're talking about growth in the community, I would say first and foremost, we got to build relationships. And I'm not talking about just superficial relationships, building relationships where we're able to come together and share our money and invest into each other. Like we stated previously, like if I'm an HVAC guy, you own an oil company. Every time you build a brick and mortar building, I do the HVAC for your buildings, right? Or if we got somebody that, I mean, it's so many people that have so many different talents and gifts now that are very creative. Someone's a marketing genius that, you know what I'm saying? We find spaces for them where it can be leveraged. Yeah. Yeah. So, but we have to build relationships because as what we see, this is what I've learned and working for the Department of Defense for a while taught me a few things is that in order for you to take on an organization, you need organization. Does that make sense? And
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
what we even watch with people who don't look like us, the moves they make are even though they can be unhealthy, but you have to understand that it's about them building and repairing relationships. People are willing to put things to the side and say, hey, let's come together so we can build this thing up. So I would say
Absolutely.
building relationships. After we build relationships, then we build a vision. And the vision isn't one sided. It's just not what Carl wants. It's not what Kelly wants. Everybody gives an input. So we have people who are giving input into the vision, but then we also have the other side of the vision, which is generationally. Like we're not just inputting for this present moment, we're inputting for generationally. So
Yeah.
when our daughters grow up, once my son settles down and he say, "Hey, found someone I can marry," and he wants to build whatever he can build, right? He's in a
Yes.
position to do so where now he's no longer the borrower, he's the lender. You know what I'm saying? And so what and that's the other thing too, with this vision, with building relationships and this vision, it has to have a common denominator. And that common denominator is shifting the black community from being the borrower to being the lender. So Carl, what does that look like in more regular terms? We become the bank now. We no longer the clerk or the manager. No, no. We own the bank. We are the bank. You know what I'm saying? And now it changes the trajectory of what we're able to accomplish. And then after that is build relationships, build division, and the other thing is socially, emotionally. I can't go away from this because it's just the reality we live in. Economically, which also covers, like the financial part we're discussing. We empower each other and we educate each other, meaning we can't allow other entities outside of us to no longer educate us, right? Anybody can Google this fact. I'm an '80s baby. If you were to take me back when I was in high school or going through grammar school, right in Chicago, Christopher Columbus, he had a day off. They didn't stop celebrating Christopher Columbus till the internet came, and they like, hey, he's no hero,
Right. Right.
right? He's
Absolutely.
no hero,
Yeah.
right? He's a lot of things. Hero isn't one,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right? Yeah, he's a lot of things, but hero isn't one, right? And even a lot of people that we call like forefathers, like Thomas Jefferson, we talk when we go into the tendencies of that, they were molesting and harming like slaves and children, right? But these are things
Absolutely.
that didn't come out until after the internet. When that was before that, we would just talk. These people are patriots. These people are scholars. These people are leaders and heroes. So, with that being said, if the if the people educating us are educating us from a distorted lens, or they're educating us not to empower us but to enable us, then we have to start educating ourselves. That has to be done, right? But it has to be, and we have to start shifting what we're educating ourselves about. We're educating ourselves on a knowledge of self, of course, of who we are as a people, right? Because I think that got lost in the sauce just based on the transition of how we got here, right? The
Yeah,
unfortunate
absolutely.
circumstances of how we got here, but also educating ourselves on what really shakes and moves a country and a community and an economy. And what that means is that now I have the knowledge and the discernment to say, hey, you guys create a lot of curriculums, but a lot of curriculums don't put me in a driver's seat. Does that make sense? So now we
Yeah,
start talking
absolutely.
about we start because we want practical stuff. People always say, well, give me practical stuff. Electricians, HVAC, plumbers. People are always gonna need a place to live. As long as they need a place to
Absolutely.
live, as long as there's gonna continue to be land, you know what I'm saying? God isn't making more land. So real estate is always gonna be a big commodity. If you can
Absolutely.
have that, yeah, or if you're tapped into that, yeah. It doesn't so I'm not speaking against people going to school for IT. Shout out to my son because he's an IT guy, right? I'm not speaking against that. I'm saying, but we have to start investing in careers or investing in landscapes that give us the best return, right? Because we have too many highly intelligent people of color who are investing in careers and stuff, and they have more student loan debt. They have more. What's the proper terminology? It's more debt to income, right? Yeah, that
Absolutely.
ratio
Yeah.
is like I have more debt than I have income. And we have to also understand if we're talking about educating ourselves, that's also part of the game for this system now. They're like, we want you being so much debt. Yeah, go get an education, but let the debt outweigh what you bring in, and then you stay dependent, or you stay in a particular position for an extended period of time.
I was
Yeah,
about to say it puts you in a position to not, and I feel the same way sometimes, that to not leave corporate America because that's my stability. That's the
right.
way that I pay my bills. That's the way that I um, kind of can take care of my family. But at the same time, it stifles me. It keeps me in that same place where I don't grow. I don't, like you said, take up other trades, other type of businesses or anything like that because I'm still focused on this corporate job. So I don't have the time per se to do the other things that will actually improve me, my family, improve kind of by and create a business, and so that they can help with that debt to income ratio. We
A
get
thousand
stuck.
percent. Yeah,
Yeah,
a thousand
it's
percent.
corporate America keeps you stuck in that, working for other people so they can make money while you still make peanuts compared to what they're making.
A
Yeah.
thousand percent. Yeah, like that's why I said identifying the landscapes, the economical landscapes where we can create a job or a career where it gives us the most return on investment, because they would love to keep us in the employee role, like the whole thing with TikTok. Now, they were saying like China was using it for spyware. America does have adversaries. People will use things against us. Let's make sure we're clear, right?
So,
So, but on the back end, the reason why they wanted to shut that down because too many Americans have learned how to make money outside corporate America. Right now, I wish everybody was just making a fortune. You know what I'm saying? Whether through the internet, without the internet, they want to shut that down to bring them back to like what you said, bring them back to the turtle shell of corporate America, where poke your head out, would tell you when to poke it out, would tell you when to draw it in,
yep,
right?
absolutely.
And
Yep.
and the turtle shell we're gonna give you, you're renting it. You don't even own it. We're gonna tell you when to, you know what I'm saying? It represents that career, if you will. Like you don't even really, because if you're not an owner of it, like what do you? Yeah, that you know
Right.
what I'm
What are you
saying?
investing in? You have no
Right.
investment in it anymore. You're just giving away your money with, like you said, no return to it. You're not going to get that back. That's just out there and gone. So
Yeah, a
yeah.
thousand percent. So if we're talking about building a community, like I said, we're gonna have to build the relationships, and like I said, the relationships become authentic. Here's what I've learned, man, about people, and I definitely don't think I figured it all out yet. But people give their money to what they care about. And if you're able to, if we're able to build relationships that prosper on both ends, and it's doable. Reason why, how do I know it's doable? I'm like, everybody does it. Subway partner with Walmart. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
does it, right?
Yeah.
It's just a matter of there being patience for this process, right? Understanding that whenever you're building anything, it's very much a seed principle. It's not going to grow overnight. It's going to take time. Even when they built Tulsa, even how Atlanta thrives, those things didn't happen overnight. When they were building things in Egypt, building pyramid, those things didn't happen overnight. We're going to have to be patient, but that means, like I said, build the relationships, build the vision where everyone is investing into it, and yeah, and educate. We have to make sure, because without educating everyone. So when I say educating everyone, what landscapes work, how this works, and because I feel like we're one of the few communities that I've been in a lot of different rooms, man. I've been real privileged. Being in the Air Force 20 years, I was around a lot of different people. And if someone wrote a book or made a meal or someone had launched a YouTube channel and it was doing well, people just they would like, get a piece of paper. Let me show you how I did. Write it out. So when we start educating ourselves. We don't only remove the corporate gatekeepers. We remove the internal ones as well. Now we're like, hey, this is the education. This is how it looks. Now, if you don't want it, you don't want it. But yeah, but we're giving it. We're going to supply it, right? If you don't want it, you
Right.
don't want it. If McDonald's give away free burgers and someone go get the free burger and don't eat it, McDonald's is unbothered. You hear me? They're not losing sleep. They're like, oh, you didn't eat the Big
Right.
Mac? Cool, we gave it away. Cool.
Right.
We have a million more. Yeah, so if
Right.
we can start more or less thinking from the standpoint of abundance and not from that standpoint, because that's an abundant standpoint and abundant mindset. If we can cast our net in that particular direction, yeah. Will it fix every any and everything? No, but it would change how we grow economically. And once we change how we grow economically, this is what I've learned, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. Um, it's past the time of wanting to have a. It's past the time of wanting to have a seat at a table that wasn't never made for you. You get your own money, you build your own table. And once you get your own money, build your own table, people will come knocking at your door. Because that's the thing that everyone is concerned with. What I've learned, people are concerned with in this day and time, currency. And I would like to believe the well-being of children, right? Because we can't say the well-being of adults because we see how things are looking for what's going on in the landscape of our country, right? If we're just being honest, right? But the most thing most people agree upon, like, I don't want to see a child harmed, right? But once you start talking money, oh yeah, And once we start having that, now we have the leverage. Because as we can see, one person has no political experience, Mr. Tesla, but based on his money, he's pretty much bought himself all the way into. He's looking at stuff
to all
that he's not
areas.
supposed, just based off money. So
Yep.
that old school saying, "Money talks," and when it does, people listen. Yeah, and we have it because if we have it to spend, this is what my old man told me: if you got it to spend, you got it to give, right? So that
Yep.
means that we're the biggest consumer in America. We buy the
Hmm.
Balenciagas, we buy the Prada, we buy the Gucci, the Goyard
Exactly.
bags. Yeah, and
Yeah.
those stuff is not made by us. You feel me? We buy those things. So if we got it to spend, we got it to give. And it's just combining those things, putting them together and handing it down consistently. Yeah, making it an inheritance. I think the greatest thing that anyone can inherit is knowledge.
Right.
Because if you give them the
Absolutely.
knowledge of how to make a meal or how to build a house, they're set, right? Because now they
Yep.
not only have the assets, they have the ability to recreate it, right? And that's why I said that's what that vision is. That's why that's in the middle of everything. It's we build the relationships, it's build a vision, then it's educating and empowering the people. But that vision is what keeps everything together. It's the heart and soul of it. That's when now we're able to do when me and you are long gone, our kids are straight.
Right.
And we
Our
no longer
kids will
have to
have
be
that.
and we
Yep.
won't have to campaign. I told you what my mom said. My mom said back in her time, and my mom is 75, like 75, 76. And very sharp, still one of the smartest people I've known, one of the smartest teachers I've seen. And she says, baby, even back then, she said, like the post Jim Crow era, she was like, we were still marching and standing and being hurt and being killed over two things. She said for the African American community, jobs and justice. And as we can see, what we're talking about now with that vision, if we learn how to build our community um, and leverage our resources, our money, our gifts, our skills, our talents, um, that can it's a step in the direction of fixing that. Like I said, it doesn't fix everything. Some things we definitely know internally. You have to have a purpose for it, some type of faith to kind of help alleviate certain things. But we're talking about community growth right now. We're talking about on the surface of how we build that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I don't got to go. Now our kids don't got to go fill out application and ask for a job. 'Cause guess what? Now we're gonna use a word that everybody had a problem with LeBron doing, and I had no problem with it. And now we're gonna use nepotism. Nepotism mean there is no. It's just a handshake and people watch this from building relationships. Now, say now it goes from I went from the HVAC guy to I own. I'm one of the biggest real estate developers, HVAC companies in the world, right?
Right. Right.
And Dylan needs and she's like, I need a job, mom. I want like she don't got for hey, I make her CEO of one of my of one of my companies in Hawaii. And we'll start off at six figures. There's no resume. She just shows up. I call whoever's down there and say, hey, Dylan's coming down there, boom, boom, boom. Show her the ropes, make sure she's sped up, give her two assistants to help her navigate her workload.
Yep.
Any questions, any concerns, get back to me. Boom. Now we're able to use nepotism. Applications and all that stuff, the reason why we say applications and stuff are biased, it was because it was built to be biased. It was built to keep us out. Yeah. And that's what we're
The
seeing.
questions.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
that's what
questions
we're
that you just
seeing.
ask on an application, yes, is
Yeah.
enough
What's
to
your
separate
ethnicity?
yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where were you born?
Separates you. Yep. And
Yeah. Where did you go to
identifies
school
you.
at? Yeah.
Yes. Because the whole point of it is to have this application where you're just looking at the basic facts. Like a person has the qualifications, the person has this license, or whatever it needs to happen. But now they start to get so involved in the applications where it is asking for ethnicity, it's asking what, the school. So then they start to look at it if it's a HBCU, if it's a
Hmm.
PWI, or whatever the kind of university. Then it's asking about your felony, your status,
Yes.
whether or not you had a misdemeanor, whether or not you had a felony, whether or not you had, yeah,
Misdemeanors, felonies,
yes.
everything. Right.
And then they want you to describe what that was. So it's not even enough to say, okay, I had a
Yeah.
misdemeanor. Now I have to tell you what this misdemeanor is. And now you have the ability to judge me off based off of that.
I'm from the state. Yeah. Because and I think that's the other thing that if we can debunk certain things, everybody has to understand, man. And I have my own belief system. I know everyone, you have yours. Everyone has their own. I respect everyone's. But we have to get out of that mindset of understanding social constructs. These are man-made titles made to enable and to dismantle you, right? It wasn't made to give you identity. And if anyone thinks there's cap in what he's saying, we just watched a felon become president.
So
Yeah, these are
yeah,
social and it goes back to what we said, but based on building relationships, there is no resume. Hey man, walk through the door. Here's the keys.
yep.
But you feel what I'm saying?
But you
And
do that, yeah.
yeah, so but that's the whole thing of because what we have to understand, like with the resumes and even with them, like circumventing like the diversity programs, right? It's because they don't want us in prominent positions where we can create income, where we can build something of our own.
It's gonna keep you still to that corporate, that working for someone else, that you're not an entrepreneur, you're not gonna be that person that's going to build
Yeah,
anything. And you can't move up in these type of companies because again, as you said, nepotism comes in. It's who you know comes in. And so therefore you have these manager positions that are open to you, but you're not going to get them by despite being at a company for years, despite knowing and having all the knowledge of what's for the ins and out of the company, they're going to find somebody that they want in a position and not necessarily that's qualified for that position.
right.
And that's DEI and the reason why they have DEI. That's the reason why we have somebody in office that has no qualifications at all, but
Okay.
because somebody wanted to place them in that position, that's
Based
where we
off
get that
of money,
based
relationships, like
off
what we
of
just said.
money and relationships. Yeah. So we have somebody who's placed in that position or even bought into that position, if you want to think about it that way.
1,000%.
So we don't have the opportunity to move ahead and to get into these grand, different positions of any kind of power or money or anything like that because it's being blocked for us.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, and that's the part where it's hard to me because it's like we, as in me and you, will look at the whole big picture and say we are trying to build relationships with other Black people. We're trying to share this vision with the community. We're trying to do this, but you see so many videos and pictures and stories of people who are Black who are still in that same mentality about me and being self-centered. And it doesn't matter how. I even just saw this thing with Soldier Boy who said that Obama ain't give me no money. Kamala ain't give me no money, but Trump gave me money. And so that
I
was
ain't seen any of that. Yeah,
I just saw it recently and I was like,
yeah,
it's a hurtful thing because you start to look at people like that who, yeah, you truly believe that. You truly believe that this man gave you money. So therefore now these other two Black people are not qualified to be in a position of power to not be president because they didn't give you money in your pocket. And for somebody who also has money too to think about that concept, you're not talking about somebody on the street who needed that COVID income money that we were getting, that COVID relief money that we were getting, not somebody who needed it, but somebody who just is accumulating money and thinks that that is the only way to place people, or people who need to be in power are the people that give you money and not vision, not leadership, not true qualifications.
it kind of still goes back to like our original our well we're still on topic but excuse me what we were just discussing is just so whenever something is structured right, like leaders build more leaders, right? The one thing I learned when they told us in the military, like leaders build more leaders. Like if you ever want to know you're a good leader, what leader have you developed around you? I'm supposed to be developing leaders around me not to be just as good as me, to be greater than me. Like whenever I'm investing into anyone, I'm not investing for anyone. I want my ceiling to become their floor, right? And so the reason why someone, the gentleman, is able to speak to that is because we don't take time to develop leaders. So we develop them. What the way the American dream has been structured is like certain people can be leaders. We gonna make everyone else an employee, right?
Yep.
Or we're gonna make everyone else a manager. A manager is still a very sophisticated word for employee, right?
Employee.
And
Yep.
so either in life, either you're a manager. I was telling this to Mir, like either you're a manager or you're a leader. Managers, watch this, care about systems. They care about return on investment from systems. right? So that's when he's speaking, I'm like, okay, I get it, bro. You're a manager. No judgment from me. I'm a leader though. My number one resource is people. Like, how can I connect with people? But I also have to understand life is best analogy I can give is like an elevator, man. Um, all of us can start on the first floor, but everybody gonna get off on different floors. It's finding somebody who's willing to go all the way to the top with you. That's far and in between, right? Everybody's gonna get off on different floors for different reasons. They got different appetites, different options. It's but the goal is my goal is regardless of how an extended period of time we have or how short a period of time we have while we're doing life together, we're in that elevator called life, shall I say. Yeah, how am I making you a leader? That's what that term iron sharpens iron. So I don't expect managers to sharpen me. When it says iron sharpens iron, it would take another leader to sharpen me. And so I'm not against when people have I'm not a guy that when someone is against what I'm against what I stand for. That doesn't bother me. What challenges me, like any human being, is where you try to do something that may be harmful to my family. You feel what I'm saying? Like my
Yeah.
children, my spouse. But besides that, yeah, I'm cool as a cucumber. Besides that, then is when the Chicago will come out. So to your point, right? Now we have to. That helps us understand the importance of helping our community when we talk about educating, empowering them. Like, hey, every day you have to make a choice. If you're going to be a manager, you're going to plug into their system. You're going to be an
Yep.
employee. You're
Yep.
going to be for their system. You're going to say when he said what I heard when you said that. Well, Trump gave me money back. Oh, you're a manager. You like how he ran the system. I'm not for. I could care less about the system, bro. Yeah, I'm a leader. Like I'm a leader. I can invest in people, and I would like to believe just that commitment to investing and helping people. Right. I don't want to
Yes.
sell poison and make a fortune. I'd rather sell
Right.
health and wellness, and you know what I'm
Right.
saying. So there's
Right.
different ways, and I would like to believe that God will bless the latter of me selling something that is positive over me selling something that is poisonous to people. So I don't want to be a manager, but that's the context we have to put it because a lot of people have never even heard that before. I didn't realize
Right.
a lot of stuff that we take for it wasn't until my son, your homie, he was like, Dad, I he like, Dad, I be with my boys. And he like, when we're in school or whenever we're doing something, he said, I share something you share with me. Like, I've never heard it before. And I'm like, oh, he said, but growing up, me and Lena, we hear it all the time. Because this is what I believe. If the world can recycle hatred, because even where we're at right now, the racism, the hatred, the fear, the violence, it didn't start here. It's just being recycled. That if a bad, unhealthy message can be recycled, then I can recycle a loving message, a message that gives direction, a message that helps shape my kids' God given identity, that helps, you know what I'm saying? Because the people out here who are consistent with doing the wrong thing, they're not shutting up. And they have no
Yep.
problem with saying something a million times. And that's why people start believing. Because after a while, if you keep listening to the wrong thing after an extended period of time, you're like, well, man, why not?
Right. Right.
Especially if there's nothing to combat it. Because the only thing that overcomes like fear, hatred, and all that is just truth and love. And if there's no truth and love, eventually, like, man, why not? Yeah, they're getting away with it, and they telling me like, I'm gonna help. If you come join my system, you can get
Right.
away with it. So yeah, people, yeah,
And people jump on that is for them it sounds like security, for them it sounds like regular income, and the entrepreneurship is scary. It's more like, oh, okay, you have to really work really hard, because if you're in a system you don't necessarily have to work hard because you have people around you that are doing the same thing or similar things, and your job can kind of get mixed into everybody else's. But if you're an entrepreneur, if you're building businesses, if you're leading people, you have to be now accountable, responsible. Now you have to work hard. Now you don't have anybody like just automatically giving you a check because you do the bare minimum. And so people are
yeah.
very scared of that though. And I'll say that for me too. It's like it's a very scary thing working for somebody for so many years and to like say, oh, I'm gonna go out and do something that's going to benefit me and my family and it's going to make me a leader. It's going to put me in a position where I have control over what is being said and done and that sort of thing. But it's scary for a lot of people because it's what you're used to. But I think that's the mentality that we have sometimes in Black communities, that we get so scared, like you said, and fearful of stuff that we just end up retreating and not doing anything, not standing up, not. And I don't think that you have to be the person to go out and protest, every time there's something going on. But
Right.
a part of you giving back is really recognizing what's going on in the world, being able to use your skills and your talents, like you talked about, to build relationships and to have a common vision and come together. And I think people are that doesn't happen often in Black communities, and that's the scary thing about it.
Yeah, because you have to understand. So people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge, right? So like what we just talked about. When was the last time you ever seen? I ain't talking about because social media has become so watered down. I'm not saying everything on there is not still some beneficial information. I'm not saying that, right? But I'm saying
Right.
it's become so watered down that people are just swiping. Excuse me, and they're just looking for something to increase that dopamine, right? And so, but when have you ever heard? You know how we have curriculums at different universities. I'm all for higher education, higher learning, right? But when have you ever heard of a Black community teaching African African Americans from, I'm talking about like by the time they 13, how to make an LLC, teaching them the difference between an LLC? When have we when have we started teaching them? Because way back when, I'm not sure how prehistoric I am. When I was coming, right, when I was coming up, right, yeah, I had joined the Air Force. They was teaching us how to balance checkbooks. Ain't no checkbooks no more. You feel
Oh
me?
yeah.
Unless you like a CEO of a business, like you gotta write a check to somebody.
Right.
But you feel me? Ain't no, but when was the last time that we really? I'm talking about everything I'm naming to you, whether it's financial literacy, personal identity, whether it's direction, whether it's growth, whether it's healing. Like we just said, empowering. Those are leadership traits. Those are when was the last time we had something that was readily available and we weren't hitting somebody over the head with it? Like, hey man, we got this. We got. That's why I say I always a person I'm a big fan of. Now, so you got to say I'm a Chicago guy, so MJ is always going to be the GOAT, but LeBron is a
Right.
GOAT as well, right? But the things he does outside of basketball is huge, right? Besides what he's done, why has everyone wants to copy being LeBron like on the court, but why not off the court? Why don't we have why don't we have brick and mortar buildings like, hey, bring the kids in and we got state of the art, we got computers, we got everything. All right, teach them how to fill out an LLC. Teach
Right.
them the importance of it. Teach them the difference between the debt to ratio income. Teach them the difference between a want and a need. Teach them how quick $1 stays in our community. That it stays like what 15 minutes,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Teach them right, but yeah, as long as we're gonna have hear me. If you want to have this is the one thing, and I say this with love, right? Because I know so many people go through so many things, right? So many people. So, and it's gender neutral. I know a lot of males and females have went through a lot of horrific situations as a child, even possibly as an adult, right? So, uh, I'm not for anyone being mistreated, right? But hear me. If um if my if my daughter it was in a relationship that wasn't suiting her, right? Didn't work for her, right? Like, hey, this relationship don't work, whatever, and she was dependent on it. We would say, "Oh, I take my sugar mom out. Let's use me. If I'm in a relationship and it doesn't suit me, it doesn't serve me on any level. It it destroys me emotionally, mentally, physically, right? It
Yep.
marginalizes me as a human being, right? It puts me in a space where I always feel like I'm in a space of lack, right? Now, it's one thing to develop people. Like developing leaders mean we have to tap into weaknesses. But we're tapping into weaknesses, watch this, with truth, love, and knowledge. We're not tapping in with violence, hatred, and fear. Totally different tools, right? One thing is a set of tools. The other things are just weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
So if I was in this
Absolutely.
relationship and I was to come to you like Kelly, and you're like, Carl, I think you need to get away from a relationship. I'm like, no, but they do everything for me. You're like, what do you mean? Like, they do everything for me. I can't leave. But I feel like that's the same concept with us as people. We're dependent on people who have demoralized us and people that look like us for years. And we're like, why are we not where we should be? You know, you're trying to depend on the people that have introduced slavery to us, and you think they're ever gonna? And now we can see when the tides turn. They're like, oh yeah, we're definitely bringing everything back in not even in a subtle manner. We're
Right.
just yeah,
Just throwing it out.
yeah,
Just
we'll make
completely
it where you
throwing it
guys
out
won't
there.
be able to make
Exactly.
an honest living. You guys just got to come back and say, we'll work for nothing. You can
Right.
own me. No. So I don't understand the concept of being dependent on something that destroys me. It's like me saying cocaine and cereal, like it's helped me. No, it's not helping me.
Right.
So I think the way we alleviate that dependency is by encouraging and empowering them who they are and what they're capable of, and giving them the economic landscape of how things work. Once they understand the psychology of money, oh yeah, people will come knocking.
Yep.
Yeah, but if that's going to be continue to be like stripped away, or even when it is put in front of us, and we're gonna, like I said, like with the Big Macs. Hey, if we're giving away free food and we're a restaurant and they throw it away, that's on them. But we
Yeah.
still have to create a space where there's a surplus of information, a surplus of knowledge and truth and love for people, especially people. Now it's for all people. I want to make sure I'm clear. It's for all people, but it's especially for people that look like us, right? Because not all people are in the same bracket or boat with us based on the privilege they may have, right?
I was about to say everybody's not living off the same type of knowledge or same type of ability to get that knowledge. So when you have that, it's totally different. We talked about this, like what other cultures and their idea of family and their idea of community is a lot different than ours. And so we have to look at that and see where is the lack and what do we have to do to get to that point where we're more of a community where we are educating our younger folks that certain things about money and about financial literacy, about being able to build a business if you want to, LLCs, all those things. We
100%.
have to create those opportunities to give back to the kids that are not going to get that in school. You're not getting that in school at all. Like, I don't think until high school, I think we had like the a business kind of club that you can join, but it was a club that you can join. It wasn't a club that was mandatory. It wasn't education you had to have. It was something that you could do. And most of the time people did it because they wanted to look good on applications to go to a different university and get the same type of education. Because you're not going to get, even in college, I didn't get any financial literacy classes. I didn't get any of that. It was your major and you did your major all the way through. And so you didn't even have really an opportunity to take a lot of other classes because your major was so, it was just so like, oh, finite. This is what you have to do. These are the classes you have to take in order for you to graduate. So when you're trying to learn more things, there's no room for that, and you have to also have the drive for that, the vision for that, the understanding that you need it. And at that time I didn't think that. I thought about leaving the university and getting a job and working for somebody, and never in my mind thought I could work for myself. I can build a business myself. They don't put that mindset into your, they don't give you that mindset. They don't tell you those things. They do interviewing classes. How do you interview? How do you fill out an application? How do you work for someone else, but never truly what it looks like to work for yourself? Um, and I didn't have, I had a professor, and I'm so sorry that I don't remember his name, but it was a black professor, and he was just one of the professors that would give us that type of knowledge, will understand that. But it was a crazy, like, you never got in, like you barely struggled to get into this class because it was this one professor that gave this class, that gave you some history on in black communities and history on how to get better, how to improve, how to heal. And everybody wanted it that was trying to get in it. So it wasn't this plethora of classes that you could take for that. It was this one professor that was like, oh, this is what I'm going to give you. And everybody wanted it. That at least wanted to take it and have that experience. So it
A thousand
wasn't
percent.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't there.
1,000%. So I think right now it's gonna sound crazy, even though like what you share with your professor, and it proves the point. It proves the point when you create a space of surplus for serving people, that the people will want it, right?
Yep.
I think sometimes we get so focused on the people that don't want it, and that happens. I think why we get so focused on the people that don't want it, if we're gonna be transparent and honest, because sometimes the people that don't want what we're offering to help people, we're related to them. And I think that messes. I've been very fortunate. My son quick to tell me, man, you can't relate to certain things, Dad, just because grandma and grandpa were good. They were.
Right.
I was very fortunate, but the biggest thing is that also as I continue to matriculate through life and start progressing, yeah, everyone that was family didn't like my immediate, yes. But a lot of people
Yeah.
in family, yeah, they didn't, yeah, they remember Lil Carl. Yeah, that's from the south side of Chicago. Where we talk
Yeah.
about like Larry Hoover, Big Meech, where those are things that's it's a way of life for us there. Yeah, it's all that. I mean, and that has never changed. The stuff that Dirk talk about. Matter of fact, free Dirk. And the stuff that Dirk them talk about is still it was still prevalent back in yeah, in my day and time in the '80s. So I say that to say is that it, we have to learn how to just focus on the people that want it, and the people that don't, then we still offer it. But if they don't want it, we don't take the responsibility of that on. And I'm realizing more and more that's hard for a lot of people, and I think that's where sometimes some people don't even start. I refuse to believe that we're the only. And I know it's a lot of gifted communicators. I know some are on social media, some are not. Some of the people I be seeing with microphone, I'm like, you need to cut that microphone off. But that's just me, right? And bro, put
Right.
the and what he saying? But anyway, man, that's just me, right? But what I'm saying is that some people are not even starting because they're afraid of leaving behind the people they've always known. What's the familiar? But there can be no growth while standing still, while sitting still.
Right.
Yeah, you
And
know what I'm saying?
sitting in the company of those people who don't want you to grow. So we sit in the company of our family because it's our family and we feel obligated to be there. But if they're going to keep you stagnant and not help you grow or not even be comfortable with your growth,
Yeah,
and make you feel like that is not a good idea or is not a good thing to grow, to heal, to change. So then it becomes, like I said, it's just a chokehold. So they're keeping you in that same kind of
yeah,
chokehold
yeah.
to that you will never like be able to get out of because you're saying they're family and they in your mind you think they want the best for you, but they're showing you that they don't. They're showing you that they don't want you to get better.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. That's very true. I think somehow, some way, something got lost, and not just with um, the people of color, like not just our community. I'm just talking about humanity as a whole. That nobody wants to really give people a hand up, like give people a hand up no more. People just rather put handcuffs on people. Like there's no one that's really saying, "Hey man, I want to pull you up so we can thrive together, so your children can have the same opportunities." It's just it's wild, man. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I can definitely tell anybody, me being told since I was a kid that I was a leader, and I try to tell my kids that, yeah, it changed me. It was just certain things I couldn't subscribe to. Lord knows, I still get a lot wrong every day, right? But it was just, but my pops always told me he was like, man, he said you too focused on the wrong things. He said if you can identify you made a mistake and you can grieve the mistake, he said that means you are a sane, fully functional human being. And that's what will make you a good leader. But he said if you cannot identify what what hurts you or what hurts other people, he was like you're in a very disconnected place, very dark and disconnected place. You're kind of now
Yeah.
disconnected from reality. He said you're so busy. He said stop trying to focus on avoiding making mistakes, but focus on learning from mistakes, and that way you can lean forward and not have to continually just fall back. You know what I'm saying? Because there's no way of avoiding hiccups in life. There's no way of
Yeah.
avoiding those things, right? But there is a way of learning from them, and once we learn, then we grow, right? And so I just think sometimes within people, all people, but especially when we're talking about within our community, I think people just they're just scared to start because they feel like they didn't have the proper support. And here's the weird part about it, right? This is where, and me and you talk about this often, is that, and I remember my mom told me this. I was hot, right? I was hot with Shirley when she told me this. She said, "You so busy focusing on you're not getting what you want from the people you want to give it to you, that you're not appreciating that other people are giving it, but they're just not who you want to give it." And I think that's the truth. We're so busy focusing on like, hey, family doesn't support, but then it'd be somebody. I learned that firsthand in the military. It will be I grew up on 84th and Benning, man. It will be some cats that wouldn't share $5 with me, right? But I go in the military and the cat give me 5 bands, like keep it. And
Right.
they've known me for like 5 years, where they've known me for like back home 20 years. So that there will be people that will really support who you are, support the vision. But we're so busy, we want that energy to come from a group of people who may lack identity, may have a lack of knowledge. And if we're
Yeah.
really, really being honest, this is what I've learned. Most effective leaders are leaders who love themselves. If someone can't hasn't taught you how to be a leader, it's not because there's a lack of something in you. It's because there's a lack of them loving themselves.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
think that conversation gets real challenging because it goes back to what we're talking about. You could be a exceptional employee, make 6 figures, but that does not mean you learn how to love yourself or love your family. That means you've mastered, like we said, you're a good manager. You've learned how a system work, and you've committed to the system. And I think we confuse that, right? 'Cause, we'll be like, well, hey, I did this because I never want to be the parent that tells them I did my best and my best was the furthest thing from what the good Lord intended, or what
Yeah.
or what was the proper thing to give them. I never want to be that parent. I'm just speaking for Carl. I want to be so I'm like, hey, a lot of this has to start with me. Do I love me?
Right.
And if I'm
Yeah.
loving me, then I'm going to love them. And if I'm loving me, there's no way for me to love me and be dishonest with myself. Because if you're dishonest with, that means if I'm loving me, I'm honest with me. Like, hey, Carl, that was a
Yep.
bad
Absolutely.
decision. Carl, you shouldn't be looking at that. You don't need to listen to that. You definitely don't need to be going there, right?
Right.
But I'm being real, right?
Right.
Because loving myself is me. I'm submitting to a discipline where I learn to say no to me. Means no, I don't say that thing in that moment. Yeah, my kids are getting on my nerves. Yeah, my spouse may be getting on my nerves. No, I don't need to say that, and I have not mastered that. You hear me? Because this family thing, boy, huh? It will drive you nuts. You
um,
hear me? When you're trying to
I
take
am the
care of
same
everybody,
way.
and you're trying to, you know what I'm saying? But you understand it though. You're a full time
Yeah.
provider as well, right?
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
people you provide for acting like, where's the rest at? Where's the rest?
Right. Right. I'm giving you everything and
Give
you
you
still
steak,
looking for some
eggs,
more.
yeah. Then we have
Yes.
lamb chops and broccoli. You know what I'm saying? Sweet potatoes for lunch, and you tell them, I'm like, nah, man. So it's just a matter of there's no way of us getting away from loving ourselves.
Yeah.
And then from us loving ourselves, it helps us love and empower others. And that has to be a thing. It can no longer us just taking on this mindset like I'm a great employee, but my family is struggling and is starved for my love, my attention, my leadership. Yeah, that's not a win. Not in my book. I would rather be a celebrity to my kids and my home and to my family than to be a celebrity to strangers and be a
Yeah.
stranger to my family. You know what I'm saying? That's always kind of the driving factor for me. When my son, he sent me a thing and was like, "Did I admire how you show up and help people?" He said, like, it's one of my, he says, one of your greatest strengths. And he said, "I'm proud to be your son, man. It messed me up." It got me, that means, man, he recognizes the sacrifices and so man, it's worth it. That right there was like 10 mil to me. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that means when I'm gone, like my grandkids and his spouse, like he's paying that thing for it. Yeah, those are real wins. Those are real investments. You know what I'm saying? And if I have to
Absolutely.
gamble or take a risk on something, I'm always going to bet on me being the best version of myself for my family.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I want us to kind of gravitate away from being the best version that I can be for a company. For a group
Because
of
you
people that
you
when we
do.
die, they're like, oh, Carl Kelly, are they dead? All right, yeah, let's go
Right.
ahead.
You
Yeah, let's go
push
ahead
you
and
aside.
push you to the side
Yep.
and let's go ahead and advertise that there's a new job opening for the company.
Yep.
Yeah,
As soon as you're gone, without a hesitation, because the whole thing is again to run your system, to run your business, and so like, you're not here, so we're gonna move on from that. And it's absolutely asinine that you spend 20 years with a company and as soon as you leave, there's nothing, no, there's no big celebration, there's no big there's nothing. It's like you just go and then they just find somebody else to take your spot. It doesn't change anything. Your presence, they show that your presence did not make or break their company. It didn't mean very much to them because you were just a worker. You weren't a leader. You weren't in leadership roles. You weren't a person that was creating programs and everything within that company. You were just working for them. So
Yeah,
yeah, it just it's a big difference of trying to have your own and work for yourself and see those gains instead of also always waiting for somebody to pay you for everything you do, and it's always less than what you're worth. It's always going to be typically less than what you're worth unless you're not a worker. But if you're working hard and you've been with a company for that long, you're probably working super hard and then you're not getting paid enough. You're not getting recognized enough. You're just somebody that's working for them. So yeah.
yeah. I think we tackled it. I think both of the
Yep.
topics that we talked about,